Hello, my friends. A long time ago, it appears our world was very different, and we know this. A lot of men have come and gone and had so many explanations, and none have satisfied our curiosity of what we observe and what we have learned from the past. Lately announced are many new claims in technology and other fields. I, however, find it odd that a worldwide deluge, free energy, giants are still denied, despite the overwhelming and irrefutable evidence. Even dinosaurs. What gets me the most is everything told to us in history is from just men alleging things. They were self taught paleontologists when it comes to these dinosaurs. They were uneducated hunters who picked up dinosaur bones, they call them, laying on top of the ground on the prairies where the buffaloes roamed that they killed for the railroad. Literally no digging required. And let's not forget about the crazy Yale and Harvard professors not agreeing at first with to what or whom these gigantic bones actually belong to. And by the way, they were both there as soon as claims were made public and common to put their 2 cents in everything. And I can't imagine the reason why dinosaurs and giants are a problem, though. I mean, why would we have to lie about that? It's not a big deal. So I wondered, what's up with the deny everything strategy? It seems like archaeologists and paleontologists and scientists alike would be fascinated by the ancient documentation and be especially excited to discover some recent find or some new report on something every day. But no, it's like they don't even care or didn't care at the time. I noticed a few things that have been brought to light many times in the past, but I don't believe they're being taken seriously. From ancient history until 1840s or so, the dinosaurs were called dragons, and that's a fact. Allegedly, men fought these large lizard-like scaled creatures at one point in time in battles with giants, and the stories and documentation of them and events are fully detailed and sworn as to their accuracy, all by kings, by noblemen, priests, map makers, explorers, and historians. Richard Owen, he coined the word dinosaur or dinosauria in 1841, and all it is their documentation of terrible, powerful, wondrous lizard. Now that seemed weird. Thousands of years ago, something had a name, and we kept it. It was common. Then in the 1840s and 50s, all of a sudden, well, the controllers came along, and it got changed. For whatever reason, I thought, okay, that seems harmless enough, I guess, right? Along with dragons and dinosaurs, the bones of giant humans were common and frequent, often on display in trading posts and saloons, only to be dismissed as, well, it was just a dinosaur, not a dragon or a gigantic human skull. No, 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 no. No fully intact skeleton of a human, no. This is merely someone documenting the mind of a madman, nothing to see here. At this point, I figured there had to be a really juicy story somewhere that was hidden, for whatever reason. I imagined that it was too real of a story, too scary for us to know about, or something. So I went to the Library of Congress and, well, I just spent hours searching through all these newspapers, right? And there's thousands and thousands of papers. And there it was, newspapers from the New York Times, Washington Post, various other famous media from the 1800s. Amazingly, matter of fact, telling the recent finds of the archaeologists and the explorers, distant unknown lands of people, giants, pygmies, strange sea creatures, and yes, dragons and dinosaurs. And the newspapers say something way different and absolutely opposite of what we were told. Remember, this was TV back then to people. The daily paper in every city was at its prime at this point, and the reporters were not as they are today by far. The paper would be highly criticized for anything known to be untrue and fact checked immediately. So lying to the public was kind of taboo, okay, at this time. Did it happen? Of course it happened. But what I'm saying is there were so many accounts and actual witnesses and physical proof of these giants and these bones and what have you in the early stages of actual documentation. It was accepted and known. These giant bones and other skeletons were laying on the ground. People found them constantly. And that's a fact. They had them. Now read this. The skull of the giant found in Macedonia, about 6 leagues from Thessalonica, in September 1691. It says it held 210 pounds of corn in this skull, which is about 5 bushels French measure, and whose body was 96 feet high. Here it says, um, I guess that's Bacchus tells of a giant 300 feet high found near Trapani. I don't know if that's Tripoli in Sicily, uh, whose teeth are still hung up in the church of that town, and which the learned of that time thought to be the skeleton of Polypheme. I don't know who that is. Valence and Dauphine boasts of possession the bones of the great Bucart, tyrant of the Vivaries, who was slain by an arrow by the Count de Cabion, his vassal. The Dominicans had a part of the shin bone, with the articulation of the knee, and his figure painted in fresco with an inscription showing that this giant was 22 feet and a half high, and that his bones were found in 1705 near the banks of the Metairie, a little river at the foot of the mountains of Crisol, upon which tradition says the giant dwelt. Now see, these other ones, isn't that opposite of there's no proof of giants? I mean, pause and read, right? It's amazing. Or go check out the many more available in the archives and the books too. There's no telling what other countries reported also. But the fact is undeniable. Some may say that this doesn't prove one single thing. It is just a wise tale. But oh, how I beg to differ. Although some may very well be wise tales, these skulls and bones were analyzed for quite some time, many years before the government or any other organization or university stepped in. People held these things, played with them, put them on display in their towns, their saloons, and everywhere. And I think I know why they hid these giants and these dinosaurs and stuff, these maps and the timeline and all the oddities associated with it. And it's obvious. The stories are not in order with the first-hand accounts. And the least of us can come to that conclusion pretty clearly. And in 1613 in France, it is said a landowner sent for barber surgeon Pierre Mazurier to confirm that an archaeological find was worth bringing to the governor's attention. And Mazurier, after analyzing the skeletal remains, confidently stated that they were the giant bones of a human. This place by the locals where the giant's tomb was found was known as the Field of Giants. Many years later, of course, this has all been deleted. A few bones made it into the hands of scientists to be studied. The jaw and teeth, one rib, one tibia, 2 vertebrae, and a few other bits survived. They were sent to the medical school at Montpellier, where it was agreed they were clearly the skeletal remains of a giant human of some kind. Now, don't worry about the fact that in 1674 at Oxford University, a member of the Royal Society of London, Professor Robert Plot, along with the bishop and vice-chancellor of the university, examined these bones found in France and the ones throughout the U.S. and thought them to be the skeletal remains of giant reptilian humanoids. And then over 300 years later, in 1984, allegedly some of these same bones were finally analyzed once again, and dang it, they were just from an elephant. Okay, this is where I got really confused on just who's running this circus. And I had almost forgotten. These clowns think that we are supposed to believe these men, these scientists and professors, did not know the difference between the anatomy of an elephant, a human, and a reptile. Please spare me. It appears whatever was found, they do not agree with each other's assessment of it. It's obviously something very different. To my amazement, I found a truly mind-bending story. And with basic reasoning skills, you will see what they did and why they did it. And I won't have to explain not one single thing whatsoever. Because many papers in the 1800s gave accounts from the old journals and libraries of the past and the present, the science and discovery that was going on. It was trending. They were finding giant bones of man and beast everywhere, skulls included, okay? Going through the old libraries and castles they founded, right? many wonders were claimed to have been discovered. So it's trending. It was something that was fun, right? That is, until the fun police showed up. And before they actually got here, we got a winner. And that story of the giant bones from that field, it reads in the original story told like this. On January 11th of 1613, some masons were digging near the ruins of a castle in Dauphine, in a locality which had long been called the Giant's Field. At the depth of 18 feet, discovered a brick tomb 30 feet long, 12 feet wide, and 8 feet high. When the tomb was opened, they found a human skeleton intact, 25.5 feet long and 10 feet wide across the shoulders, 5 feet deep from the breastbone to the back. His teeth were about the size of an ox's foot, and his shin bone measured 4 feet in length. Huh. Wow. Man, can you imagine seeing that? Oh, I almost forgot. It had a marker on the tomb too. And of no concern to you, I assure you, okay? Because it was only a gray stone with the words, Theutobochus Rex, cut therein. Please just ignore that Theutobochus or Theutobochus Rex was an actual king in France in 105 BC. And so the king, 25.5 foot tall giant, named Theutobochus Rex. He's now known as Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T-Rex for short. Damn. Imagine that. My love to you all. I'm Wild Dog, and I am out of here.